So, should GSN pursue more retro fare or should they pursue more modern fare? That seems to be one of the hottest topics for debate when you go to like the GSN message boards or any game show fan board, really. What should they do? On the one hand, you've got people complaining that there's not enough variety on the network, that they should have more retro fare just to freshen things up. Then you got the realists who come on there and argue with merit that the modern fare gets more ratings, gets more viewers. So what do you do if you're GSN and you now have a major debacle on your hands with Dancing with the Stars not doing very well in the ratings? And this is not going to be a dancing rant, so don't worry about it. What do you do? Who do you listen to? Well, anybody who has seen my Game Lover channel, my Game Lover 1949 channel, knows I'm a big fan of the retro fare. I love the old game shows because I like to watch an era when it seemed like the contestants not only knew how to play the game, but knew how to react. I mean, there was an episode of Price is Right recently where there was a contestant playing Lucky 7 and he lost the game. And looked like he couldn't have been happier that he lost the game. I'm not saying you have to cuss out Drew Carey or break the lights on the stage or something, or have to have security haul you away. But he looked like he was strung out on Red Bull and some kind of hallucinogenic drug because he was so happy that he lost the game. And I had to turn off the TV for 10 minutes after that because I could not believe how he reacted. And that's why I like the older game shows better, because the exuberance on those shows was justified. Especially if you won. You didn't have as many contestants who looked like complete jackasses. I'm sorry, that's what it looks like. The modern game shows tend to favor a jackass contestant in more cases than not. The Margies of the world, if you've seen a Wheel of Fortune episode with Margie, picture Skay Pineapple Plantations says all I need to know about her. Ugh. I just don't like to see contestants who are over-caffeinated and are focused more on their personality than on actually being able to play the frickin' game they're on. So that's why I definitely prefer to see a classic lineup. I would love to see GSN at the very least get some new leases on the classic shows that they have. Get some fresh episodes. I use the word fresh in a relative term. But like for $100,000 Pyramid, why don't we go back to like the first season of shows? Show how the game started. Because we've seen how it ended quite a bit. I wouldn't mind seeing a new season of that. Like a new season of Card Sharks. Like, let's get the car game in there, for God's sakes. If you watched only these Card Sharks episodes, if you've only seen it since they renewed the lease to them, you wouldn't even know they gave away a car in the show in the second run. Hell, put the Bill Rafferty version of Card Sharks on. That would be cool to see, the prize cards and all that. That would be fine by me, just to get a fresh set of new episodes. Well, new is not the right term. Fresh episodes of the classics you've run, and then you can do the BS you do the rest of the day with the modern stuff. Because as much as I hate to admit it, the argument of them modern shows getting better ratings is valid. Fifth Grader and Richard Karn's Feud and Baggage and Newlywed Game and Deal do get better ratings than the retro fare. So your GSN's really in a catch-22. They're going to piss off the hardcore fans because they don't add older shows to the lineup. And they might not catch the casual viewer they're trying to catch because they don't have stuff that they recognize. That's the major problem. It's the attention span of the modern TV viewer. The modern TV viewer's attention span at best is maybe a minute or two. You gotta hook them right away. And a show like a old school Password or like Press Your Luck or Scrabble, Sail the Sun. I'm just putting these shows out there. I'm not saying that GSN should or will get them, but a show like that where you have to really, you have to pay attention the whole show, does not really work in today's society. I'm not going to put myself in it, but the modern viewer, the typical modern viewer, wants to be hit immediately. They want a show they can watch and then they can rinse and flush out of their mind as soon as they're watching. And a lot of the modern fare really does that. You watch the game, you get the result, and then it's over. You don't have to attach yourself to it. So that's where the real problem is. It's in the viewer. They want to be hit with something they recognize immediately. A show like Fifth Grader, as bad as it can get sometimes, hits them right away because they remember it right away. They will remember Family Feud from the last 5 or 6 years or whatever, or the last 10 years in the case of Richard Karn. They'll recognize Wheel with all the junk on the wheel. They'll recognize Jeopardy with the Clue Crew. I could go on and on and on. They won't recognize a show like a Body Language or what's another one I could think of? But they won't recognize those kinds of shows right away. And it loses viewers. Would I love to see a Tic-Tac-Toe or Joker's Wild? Hell yeah, I'd love to see it. It would be cool to see those shows again. But to be realistic, the chances of that happening are very slim to none. GSN, for better or for worse, whichever way you want to look at it, wants to hook up with the modern, typical viewer. And the only way they can do that is with the modern fare. So at best, pursuing stuff like Dancing with the Stars, no, they shouldn't. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to rant and rave. Pursuing shows like that, and seeing how it's clearly bombed in the ratings, that's not going to work. But if they pursued like a more modern game show, I don't really know what you could say. Because really, there aren't that many out there in the modern realm that they can pursue that I think would work on the network. Because they've tried Vieira's Millionaire. That didn't really work. They obviously haven't had the rights to Price is Right in a long time. I don't know if they'll ever get those back. They haven't run very much Wheel or Jeopardy recently. Wheel at all since the Thanksgiving marathon of, 2010? So, and the rest are just niche shows. I would not want to see stuff like Minute to Win It or Who's Still Standing or stuff like that on GSN because those shows stunk pretty much. Who's Still Standing was too simple in many cases. That's why it failed, really. And they couldn't decide what format they wanted to use, show to show. Minute to Win It, I never really watched, and what little I did watch, I didn't like. So I hope they never see the light of day on GSN. But if I'm in the head of GSN, I would try to develop new episodes of my originals, because let's face it, as much as I don't like to watch the Newlywed Game, having new episodes of it would not be a bad idea. Now I know they pretty much have canceled it because they aren't promoting it anymore, and they didn't even mention it when Sherry Shepherd was picked for the Dancing with the Stars new season. But make new episodes of some of your good originals. Maybe add 1 or 2 classic shows to your lineup. Lease some new episodes of the ones that you currently have a lease to if you want to pursue it. And then, basically, you're good. Well, you're as good as you're going to get. You'll have the right kind of a balance. You'll appease the hardcore fans enough to where they'll stop complaining for a little bit. Maybe. I seriously doubt that, actually. But you'll appease the hardcore fans. You'll get some of the casual viewers that normally don't watch you all day to want to maybe tune you in a little bit. And maybe you'll find that happy medium you always want to pursue. But is old or new better? It's all a matter of opinion. It's really excuse me. It's really difficult to find a balance between the two. And that's the challenge of being the head of a network. You really don't know what is the right option. But if there's one thing I know for sure, is that you really do need, GSN really does need to freshen up their lineup a little bit, because they've run basically the same shows for 3 years and it's really, really stale. Let me know what you think about the video down in the comments, and I'll see you next time.